Yo, what's up to everybody out there? Welcome to another edition of the Roundtable Talk. And I'm your host, C Money. And this episode, we're in Hialeah, Florida, Palm Springs Mile to be exact. And we're just going to be doing a little walk down of Palm Springs Mile. They call this Palm Springs Mile. It's like a little shopping area. You got several shopping centers. You have one over here. But there's a Five Guys, a Fresco, you have a Chick-fil-A here. Behind me is a Chipotle over here. You have a Walmart neighborhood, a CC's Pizza, and what used to be a Toys R Us has been several locations in that. Where if you could see across the way, it used to be a Toys R Us store. At one point, it then became a Cheapo Depot, which is like a retail bargain store where you can get like household products for cheap. And then now it became O'Reilly's, and next to it you got a Michael's. You have City Trends, Five Below, Old Navy, Ross, TJ Maxx, Frisco, Moss, which used to be Winn-Dixie, like I told you in previous videos. A lot of the Winn-Dixies have been converted into Fresco Moss. My childhood memories. I used to come here a lot with my mom. There was a fabric store that used to be over here called Fabulous Diamonds. I'm going to show you where the location used to be at. This Starbucks, I believe it's this Starbucks. If it's not the Starbucks, it's the Chick-fil-A. I believe it's the Chick-fil-A. That used to be a Payless shoe store. One of them used to be a Payless shoe store, and I believe it's the Chick-fil-A that used to be a Payless shoe store. It's been vacant for years before they remodeled it and probably put it as a Chick-fil-A. I think that was the location. Where this Old Navy sits at right here, you don't see too many Old Navies as much. Sits where it used to be Fabulous Diamonds. Fabulous Diamonds was like something similar to Party City, but it was like a fabric and like a lace and fabric and design store where you get your stuff you need to like design stuff, where you're doing gift baskets or handkerchiefs, or you're designing some stuff like your buttons and stuff like that, or little designer things that go on like the stuff that you're designing. It's a lot of that stuff. So it was the place to be. They had several locations. This is was one of the locations. I used to go there a lot because my mom used to go there. Over here, now funny, it's an interesting thing. There used to be a college here called ASA College, but I learned recently that there's no longer exists at that location. I don't know if the college is actually closed or they just closed this location, which was over here. It was right next to a Office Depot. The Office Depot, it closed, but it didn't close. It got moved further down. It's near the Westland Mall area. This is the Burlington Coat Factory. This is the Dollar Tree right here. And all right, thank you. And now in the previous video, I showed you when I did a video a couple of videos ago about Long John Silver's. Now this is where we're coming up to. This is remember I told you they had a location in Hialeah where a friend of mine from my old neighborhood used to work at. This is the location that it sat at. You can still see the signage here, but over the Long John Silver sign, they have a for lease sign here. Now this is the actual location. I told you that the building has been torn down. We're going to walk towards it. The building has been torn down, but you can still see the signage, and they still have some of the letters on their outside board. But this was one of the few. I don't know. This has been closed for many years. Maybe the one in Homestead that we did a video on a while back. The video that we did recently in Homestead, maybe that one was the last one to close in South Florida. But this one was probably one of the first to go. Now, I can tell you like this, they didn't get as much business, but they got business. I was a frequent visitor here, especially as a child. As a young child, I visited this location a lot more because I used to come here with my mom and stuff like that. Everything. A lot of these businesses have been drawn out, and some of the businesses here in Hialeah hasn't been drawn out. They've been moved to other locations. Like I told you, the Office Depot that sat there, it moved further down near the Palmetto Expressway 826. It just moved to another location. Right here where the Hooters at, this used to be a IHOP. Now, that's another business that did not close but moved. If you recently seen my video at Westland Mall, IHOP moved their location to Westland Mall. Even though their entrance is on the outside of the mall, they don't have an inside entrance of the mall. They just have an outside entrance of the mall. But they moved their location further down to the mall, and they made a thing at the mall, and they turned this into a Hooters. I visited this Hooters one time, and I actually sat on the outside. It's not a bad place, you know. I'm a fan of Hooters. If anything, and this is another shopping plaza that they have, you know, several shopping do. Hialeah was one of the most prospected areas back in the 90s and, you know, cause in early 2000s, because you had a lot of high-end stores here. Oh, I never showed you back then by where the first shopping plaza that had the 5 and below and everything, there was a Piccadilly's in that location. Now what sits there, there's several stores that sits in the Piccadilly location. I should have mentioned that and should have showed you the area, but it sits right near the 5 Below store, and they had Piccadilly's there. Remember, there was 2 locations here. There was one there, and then there was also one at Westland Mall. The one at Westland Mall is now a Footworkers. And if you see that building in the back there next to this Ashley Home Store, and it's a building next to it, I don't know if we're gonna ever see it. It's a AMC movie theater. Now, recently it was called, I forgot the name of it. It was another movie theater, and there was a good movie theater. There were several movie theaters, and that one was, it recently, during the pandemic, it recently changed to AMC, because, you know, most AMC theaters are now, you know, AMC theaters, they have the newer technology. They have stadium seating, 3D and all that, you know, surround sound, Dolby sounds and stuff like that. And that was, not going to say Crown Theaters, because Crown Theaters was another one. I believe it was a Regal. If it wasn't a Regal, it was one of the others. I'm not mistaken which one it was. Maybe a Cobb, I'm not for sure. I know it was one of them. I have to figure it out, but I know it's just, during the pandemic, it turned into an AMC theater. The last time I visited there, I believe, was not Bad Boys that just came out, the one before that. I ended up going there to see the Bad Boys. The Bad Boys 3, I ended up going to see that one. This is a Rooms to Go discount outlet store. And they did have I believe it was a Champs outlet store, or one of the, like a Champs outlet store, or one of the store they did have there. They have a Navarro's here. This is Party City. Now there's another store here. See, there's Ocean Bank. Remember, I told you a lot of the Ocean Banks, they have that blue mirror, blue window type setting. Remember, we did a video just a couple of days ago with the Ocean Bank with the movie theater in it. This is another Ocean Bank. Granted, this doesn't have a movie theater in it. The movie theater is in the back, next to the Ashley home store. And this is basically, you know, one of their other locations. They have a few locations in Hialeah. Check cashing store, also a bank here, TD Bank, right across there on the other side. That's the City of Hialeah fire station. You know, City of Hialeah has their own fire station. You know, they don't have Miami-Dade, you know, like most cities, they don't have Miami-Dade fire stations in their city. City of Hialeah, and they have several fire stations. They don't just have like one fire station. Hialeah is an actually big city, you know, and there are 2 types of Hialeahs. You got regular Hialeah, and you also have Hialeah Gardens. And I rarely visit Hialeah Gardens, but Hialeah, I used to visit as a kid. One of my favorite stores, you know, one of my favorite restaurants used to be Long John Silver's, or going to Piccadilly's, you know, and Piccadilly's was one of those places where after church, when you come from church and you want something, nice and cooked and home cooked meal or something like that, you will go to, of course, Piccadilly's, and they had 2 locations here. You either went to the one down that we just came past, or you went to the one at Westland Mall if you wanted to shop around the mall. And now we're gonna cross the street. Oh, you can go, lady, if you want to go. Go right ahead. You can go too. Go ahead. I give people with cars the right of way to go. Now, I will show you the side over there because the movie did it. It's the other side of the movie did it, but you can barely see it. Anything. Now, this building that says Bank of America. Now, in the 90s and early 2000s, this was one of the locations of the Miami Herald. Now, the Miami Herald, their main location was downtown Miami near the Omni area, but they tore down the building and moved, I believe, into the Coral Gables, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know where exactly that thing is, where that location is at, but I know this was probably one of their sub buildings that was here. And we're going to get in more into that when we visited the downtown Omni area. This is the KFC. And yeah, because a lot of these businesses here, they have been revamped. And this is why I tell you, a lot of these businesses, they have been taken away by big corporate businesses, or they either like Piccadilly's. I don't know the reason why Piccadilly's closed its Miami locations, but remember, there's one in Hollywood. We're going to go visit that sooner or later. There's one in Hollywood, and then there's also, like I told you, Long John Silver's. Why? I don't know why they got rid of them. A lot of the Miami, and I've mentioned this in several videos, a lot of the businesses that are popular, like Bojangles, Long John Silver's, and Piccadilly's and stuff like that, they are leaving Miami, and people are forced to, be stuck with high-end price chain restaurants or mom and pop restaurants that don't do really, because really, like Long John Silver's, you really don't have a restaurant down here in Miami that does the food that Long John Silver's do. And it's the same way with Piccadilly's. Piccadilly's is a cafeteria. It's not really a restaurant. They call it Piccadilly's Cafeteria. So, because with the cafeteria, it's like, when you go to the hospital and you go inside the cafeteria in the hospital and you get a plate, and then they got all that food lined up, and then you pick what you want and stuff. That's basically what Piccadilly's is. And sometimes I used to get a whole lot of stuff. I'd be like, oh, I want to get this, I want to get this, I want to get this, I want to get this. And it's the home cooked style meal that you want. And it's not and it's not that hospital food, because I know with hospital food, they have to do very little seasoning because of the health and, high blood pressure and all that stuff. So, you got to be concerned about that. So as well, we're going to, it's like that. This is a Burger King right here. This, I believe, used to be a chicken restaurant before it became a health, like a doctor's office. Now, see, that's another thing that I really don't get with, and I'm really not aboard. Turning restaurants into office buildings. Like, I would say if you turn restaurant buildings into other restaurants, but turning them into office buildings, into doctor's offices, I really don't get with that, because who's to say that same restaurant that was here a year ago, I have to go here for a checkup at the doctor's office. And I was like, oh, I remember eating in this section, but now I'm in this section drawing blood out of mine, and I'm like, yeah. I don't get with that, but I understand it. But yeah, this used to be a restaurant as well. But a lot of these places, they're doing that now. They're taking these used to be restaurants and putting them into something else. Carbon Health Urgent Care, that's the name of the place. I thought really. Here is CBT Technical Institute, which is the technical college. Their college is basically, this is one of their colleges, and it's a technical college. It's basically all about, like computers and, a lot of technical. It's not like a healthcare college. It's more of a, electricity, computers, and, maintenance and all that. It's basically handyman or computer technology, or technology to be exact. It's not healthcare. You know, they don't specialize in healthcare. They probably doing it in other locations, but this is like a small location. Now, I don't remember what this building is. I know it's always been a health thing, but I don't know what it is now. Over here, where the Lab Corp and stuff, I remember this used to be where the oil change place is at. That used to be a Sprint store, a Sprint cell phone store. Remember Sprint? Sprint no longer exists now, so they turned this into a oil changing place, and I don't remember what that used to be. What that's at. Now this is Nicholas Children's Health, Nicholas Children's Hialeah Outpatient Center. Now that used to be a Zayas. A Zayas used to be like a men's tuxedo store, like a high-end clothing store. Like I guess you buy high-end like tuxedos or dresses and stuff like that, or if you want to rent out a tuxedo or something like that for prom or something, it was there. Now I think they do have a location, but they moved. Now here's another store that got pushed out. Remember I did a story on there. This is another Boston Market. Remember we did an episode in Coral Gables a couple of days ago, and we showed you the Boston Market that was in Coral Gables. This is the Boston Market in Hialeah. Now I have visited this store several times. I've actually dined in this store, and I've actually have taken out. But with this store, it actually didn't, it closed. I believe it closed recently, because you can see now they still have the signage and everything on them. Now a lot of these stores have since left because of, like I say, most of these stores, they left because of business failures with the business. You know, of course, I've heard allegedly that Boston Market wasn't paying their workers, so eventually they closed down their South Florida locations. And from what I saw, there's supposed to be 44 locations in the state of Florida, which I doubt that is, because none of them seems to be in South Florida. You know, because I have not Googled and found one yet. And a lot of these other stores are being bought out by high-end stores. Like, I don't know what this used to be. That's a Denny's. That's the Dade County Federal Credit Union. That's a credit union for like the teachers and stuff like that, whatever. You have a lot of stores here. A Citibank. This Taco Bell was closed. It was closed for a minute because I guess of maybe health code violations or poor structure. And recently when I visited over here, they was doing work on this Taco Bell, and they still are doing work because they have a sign that's in the window that says do not enter. So I'm guessing they're reopening this Taco Bell. They just haven't opened it back up to where it is open to the public. They're probably doing reconstruction on the Taco Bell. Another location. This is Quincy's and Bridal Photography. I think this used to be a Dave's Bridal. Remember, we was in Coral Gables and we saw Dave's Bridal. I think this was one of the locations that was here. They have a renter center. They have a Hot Beans, which is like a discount store. Now I'm going to take you to one of the locations. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. You know, well, I know you've heard of this supermarket, but the location I'm about to tell you. This says Sedano's. This is called Sedano's. That's a Spanish supermarket. It's mostly equivalent to like Navarro's and stuff like that, but it's a Spanish supermarket. Now, there used to be a toy store called Lionel's Play World. If you've ever heard of Lionel's Play World, it was a toy company that basically was kind of equivalent to Toys R Us. It was like the competition of Toys R Us. But Lionel's Play World went out of business way too early. They back in the 90s, Lionel's Play World ended their service in the 90s. You know, I mean, you may have found something in the 2000s, but back in the 90s, because I remember the Lionel's Play World Have Your World upside down, and it used to be one of the things. And their mascot was a kangaroo, because you know Toys R Us mascot was a giraffe. Lionel's Playhouse mascot was a kangaroo. So we're gonna fast forward a little bit, you know, because I want to show you more, so we're gonna fast forward a little bit.